What's going on, guys? It's Sick Bid here, aka Meek, here with another Draft League Presents. We're going over Zygarde 50 today in our Draft League Presents. I think Zygarde 50, he's a really top tier mon. I would say usually like a top 10 guy. Obviously, he's not going to have the power construct. If he ever has power construct, it's an Ubermon. Draft this first. But if it doesn't have power construct, I think it's top 10 pick here. We're trying to with these early draft league presents, we're trying to go for the top tier threats, kind of work our way down. We're still in the top tier threats right now. Zygarde is a mon that goes really fast, and for good reason. It doesn't have too many coverage moves, but what it does do well, it does really well. And that's why it's drafted so highly, and that's why only 50% is allowed in the draft league format. Let's get into the typing here and kind of why it goes so highly. Yeah. So we had Dragon Ground here, so the same typing as, say, a Garchomp. Garchomp. So immune to electric, resist fire, poison, rock, weak to dragon and fairy, and then 4 times weak to ice. Okay. So this is a pretty good typing. I think ground types just a lot of the time are naturally really good types because of their lack of weaknesses. But dragon really picks up the grass and water weakness of ground types and then intensifies the ice weakness that ground types have. So it's kind of a trade-off here. You're neutral to those common types, but usually you have a lot of coverage moves with the dragon type to beat those grass, to beat those types that you would be weak to ground. Aura Break is all you can use. Power Construct is this guy right here, but you don't want to look at this guy. You want to look at Aura Break. And so this Aura Break only deals with Yveltal and Xerneas. That's why it's X, Y, and then you got Zygarde. You got Z, Zygarde. Your ability is pretty much useless, but the stats are absolutely amazing. 95 speed, which is not a crazy speed tier, but you're talking Kieran Black, you're talking those kind of guys. 317 is what you top out at. 95 Spadef, which is really good. That's a pretty good Spadef. No, you're not using your special attack too much. You do get a couple of poison moves that we'll talk about. Defense is great, and HP is amazing. Amazing HP. Attack is pretty good, but it's got a couple of different ways to boost a couple of its stats that we'll talk about next. I think this is really good this is a really good subber. Anything with over 102 or 103 HP has some pretty fat subs that are pretty good. But I think that's it that we want to talk about for right now. So let's go down. Let's look at this set. This is an Uber set, but it's Dragon Dance. We're doing the same thing essentially. Dragon Dance, 1,000 arrows. Here's sub Dragon Tail, not really, but it gets access to Glare here, which is a really good move. So Dragon Dance boosts that speed and attack. Usually you can run leftovers and then sub if you're behind, or if you want to sub in front of like a wall or something like that. It's got a Rest Coil set with Sleep Talk and Claire. So this is Coil boosts your attack, defense, and accuracy. Accuracy not too much necessary here. This is really more for the power construct. So we'll move on. You got a Dragon Dance, 1,000 arrows, 1,000 waves. This is your trapping move, 1,000 waves here. So it just traps mons with you, and it's about 10 less power than 1,000 arrows. So yes, we're going to get into the moves, and I'm missing a really big move right now, but I want to look at all the moves and kind of see why this move is so important. So we're not talking about it right now, but we will get to it. So you got binds, no. Bite. Block is an interesting one because you can kind of, let's say a mon wants to Toxic you or something like that. You block him, and then you start resting, and then you can come back in and start, boosting up, and then rest, and then keep blocking him in. That's pretty good. In the draft league format, it's pretty good. Coil, here's your booster with attack and defense. Core Enforcer is interesting. Nullifies the abilities the ability of the foe if it moves first, if the foe moves first, excuse me. So kind of tough. It gets crunch for the psychics, so that could be interesting. Gets all your dragon moves. Dragon Dance is really important here. Doesn't get it doesn't get Dragon Claw, but that's okay because it gets a couple of other things. You know, it gets Dragon Tail. It gets Outrage here, down here, but it doesn't get Dragon Claw. It doesn't have any claws. So you're kind of missing out on that one. You're going to have to run Outrage if you want to run a Dragon type kind of, or Dragon Tail physical move. You have Earth Power's okay, Earthquake's okay. We're going to get into what makes this mon really, really good. It gets extreme speed, so it has really good priority. That's, 80 base power with a priority of 2. So that's really, really good. Outspeeding those prankster bonds by quite a bit. And then, okay, it gets Grass Knot. Okay, we'll move on. Iron Tail's pretty good for the fairies. Land's Wraith, you're really not using that over, like, another move that we'll talk about. It gets Pain Split, gets Rest here. Rock Slide, does it get Edge? Gets Stone Edge, so that's pretty good. Sludge Wave for your Bulu and Whimsicots. Excuse me. Gets Shockwave. Not using that too much, but the one that we're really excited about is the 1,000 Arrows and 1,000 Waves. So 1,000 Waves is your trapping, and 1,000 Arrows means that if you're a flying type, it doesn't matter, you're getting hit. If you're levitating, it doesn't matter, you're getting hit. So anything that would be immune to a ground type attack is not immune. So Electros, these electric types that have that have either the flying typing or levitate really are super weak to the sky. And all they have to work with is usually like Icy Wind or HP Ice, and Hidden Power, depending on the league that you're playing in, you won't get that. So those are really, really strong moves, and 1,000 Arrows being as spammable as it is, really, really strong. Stab, ground type moves, great. You see Lando, he would go crazy with 1,000 Arrows. Stab, it's insane. 1,000 Waves is your trapping, so you might not need block. You just use 1,000 Waves, but you have to make sure that mon that you're trapping is grounded, because it doesn't have the same effect that 1,000 Arrows does. And then you get your psychic type coverage here with Zen Headbutt. So those are really important factors to why Zygarde's drafted so highly, is because of the spam ability of just Dragon Dance up and then 1,000 Arrows, 1,000 Arrows, 1,000 Arrows, 1,000 Arrows. That's what makes that so spammable. We're going to get into a couple of the DLC moves that it gets. It gets Swift, Payback, Breaking Swipe, Body Slam, Reversal, Endure, and High Horsepower. None of these are really crazy. Swift gives it a no accuracy check, but you're really not going to be using that. Body Slam's okay. Endure for the Lychee set, I guess. I would rather just Dragon Dance and hold a berry or something like that. But it works. I'm sure somebody around the world would use that. So talking about a couple of sets that are common to use is 1,000 Arrows, Dragon Dance substitute with Leftovers, and then Glare or something like that. Something that you can sub up on, and then Glare, and then keep subbing, right? And then keep subbing until you can get a free turn where you're behind a sub. You Dragon Dance, and then you kind of do it again. That's pretty good. Arrest, Sleep Talk, Coil set's pretty good. I'm trying to think of another good. Let's see here. That's pretty much it, really. We can go into what mons really kind of pair with this guy. And this is kind of like a broken record kind of thing, because the same kind of mons are so good with mons of the same of these same types that I've been talking about, and you can see that Steels really appreciate this Pokemon. They really appreciate it, because the things that would check Steel is something that Zygarde can sub on, and then Glare, and then reduce its speed, making the Steel a little bit stronger and able to wall more things, or sweep, or be able to stay in on those things that would have walled that Steel type. So really, really good steel types. I mean, you got Celesteela, and Zygarde. If you ever are able to get this, Mawile Mega maybe, holy smokes. If you were able to do that and kind of glare it and kind of reduce that Pokemon speed, allow Mega Mawile to come in and just claim free kills, that's the idea. Heatran's really good with this guy. I'm trying to think. Yeah, Heatran's really good with this guy because if you look at it, Heatran is 4 times resistant to Ice and 4 times resistant to Fairy. Okay, so 2 of those weaknesses, 2 of the 3 weaknesses that you would be weak to, you now have a very, very strong resistance with this guy. I would highly recommend maybe like a grassy surge setter, like maybe Rillaboom or Tapu Bulu with that. I mean, if you're able to, I mean, it'd be pretty tough because we're talking about some really, really high tier mons here in a row. But Heatran's really good. Just really, really strong steel types. Phenomenal. I'm trying to think. There's really no other type that's really going to resist crazy. Yeah, that's really it. Steel type's a really good matchup. I mean, you build that Dragon Fairy Steel core. There's a reason why that's such a popular core and such a strong core. It's because when you build good bonds with those types and they have versatility and they have good moves, good stats. It's really, I mean, you go in there with those 3 Pokemon and you're able to kill a lot. You have a lot of coverage. You have a lot of these moves because those typings are some of the best. I mean, Fairy and Steel, in my opinion, are the 2 best typings. Dragon is the most spammable typing, in my opinion. Really, really strong Pokemon. Kind of lacks that physical dragon move that you don't have to lock into. But other than that, it's got great setup. It's got good versatility with the sub glare set. It's able to beat a lot of things with that, just like a Serperior or something like that, or maybe like a Whimsicott. But this guy's able to just win games with 2 DDs. I mean, he's just able to win it because of his spammable moves. Not crazy amounts of coverage. You can see a pretty quick read through with his moves. He doesn't get that many more in Gen 8, but a very, very strong top tier threat. I think it's right outside Tornadus T in my opinion, and outside of Gen 8's Tornadus T. It's right outside that guy, so maybe 12, 13, top 12, top 13, excuse me. I think that's probably it for Zygarde. I've given a couple of guys that are good with it. Just anything that's not weak to ice. I mean, anything that resists ice, probably a good mon, which is a lot of steel types. Fire's okay because it also has a resistance to fairy, so fire types could be pretty good. Kind of weak to the dragon, but you can kind of patch that up with some different things. But yeah, fire and steel is what you're going to stick around with for Zygarde. I know this was kind of a quick one, but we will have some more content tomorrow, and we're going to keep pumping these guys out. So make sure to keep staying in, or keep watching. And that's it from me, Sickbid, aka Meek, and we'll see you next time.